Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Tuhami from Midway Simplicity and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Decluttering Show where you will find practical tips to help you declutter your first 100 items. And today I have a grand master in the simple living and minimalist blog sphere. He is Ryan Nicodemus from the Minimalists.com. Ryan, I'm so glad and honored to have you on the call today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, let's start by your story. How did you start your decluttering quest and why?
That's a really good question. So I, like many Americans, had the American dream, the dream job, the house. I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2 living room. I don't know why I needed 2 living rooms. 2,000 square foot condo, nice big garage. And then I had all the stuff to go in the condo with it. And I was working my butt off. I was working 70, 80 hours a week going to school and just kind of had this moment of realization where, here I was, 28 years old at the time, and I had gotten everything that I always wanted. If you were to tell my 18-year-old self what my 28-year-old self was going to have, I would have been the most excited 18-year-old kid you would have ever met. But it took getting everything that I wanted to realize that it's not really what I wanted. So I didn't really know what was important. And I started with my home, and that's where I really started kind of questioning what makes me happy and what really adds value in my life. And I was talking to Joshua, and we were having this conversation, and we came up with this idea of a packing party. I don't know if you read this on my website or not, but basically the packing party, the idea was this: we would take everything in my 2,000 square foot condo, and we would pack it up as if I was moving. Everything, literally. We packed up my sheets. I packed up my toiletries. I covered my TV with a sheet. I covered all my furniture with sheets. All my clothes packed up. I packed up the internet. I packed up the modem. Packed up my satellite dish or my satellite box. I didn't pack up the dish because it was on the roof. But yeah, I literally packed up everything like I was moving. So just to give you an idea, if you were to walk in my front door, my first living room was right there, and there were just boxes stacked to the ceiling. They were marked really well. Kitchen, junk drawer number 1. Hall bathroom, junk drawer number 5. Everything was marked really well, and I was able to know where I put all my possessions. And the idea was to unpack day by day as I needed things to really figure out what it is that added value in my life. So you could imagine that first night actually, I unpacked my sheets to my bed. I unpacked some toiletries. I unpacked a suit for work the next day. The following day, I came home from work. What do you think the first thing I unpacked was when I came home from work?
Maybe.
What are Americans known for? All right, I'll tell you.
Sure.
I came home and unpacked my TV.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Which
I
was
was
really
thinking pajamas or something like that.
Oh, I got you. So yeah, I came home and unpacked my TV, and then of course I unpacked the internet, right? Which was really weird for me because it's like the first things that I jumped to right after work, and it just it was kind of a light bulb moment for me. But as the days went on, obviously I was unpacking less and less, and at the end of my journey, it was 21 days. At the end of these 21 days, I had 80% of my stuff left in boxes still. And that was just a huge revelation moment for me. Here I was standing with 80% of my possessions that I had worked so hard to accumulate to make me happy, and they were not doing their job. So that was my experience with decluttering. Was there a second part to that question that I forgot?
That's one of the most inspiring decluttering stories that I've heard. It's very interesting. That approach is very interesting to pack everything and then unpack them as you go to see what really matters to you. So maybe back to the question why. Why did you do all of that? Can you give us more insight into that?
Yeah, so I had just fallen into that mentality that is so rampant. It's not just in the States. It's I mean, of course, it's very heavy in the States. It's all over the world in different countries. But I just fell into that mentality of mass consumerism. It's this idea of I can buy it, so I should. I can, so why not? I mean, it's a really prominent attitude, and I obviously don't agree with that.
So
but
it came. Sorry. So it came from an anti-consumerism standpoint, not from a standpoint of like having a dream and you want to simplify your life or save some money to pursue that dream or something like, or find time or energy.
Well, I certainly started to connect those dots after the packing party. But initially, it wasn't anti-consumerism. It was more of I had this moment where I was looking in the mirror, and I just had to ask myself, Ryan, is this what you've been waiting for your whole life? And the answer is no, it wasn't what I was waiting for my whole life. And then I started to think, well, what has gone wrong here? Well, the problem is that I have relied on money and I've relied on personal possessions to make me happy. And they weren't making me happy. In fact, it was doing the exact opposite. I had gotten into debt. I had more stress. I had to work longer hours. I had to ignore, really important relationships in my life so I could work longer hours. So instead of bringing me happiness, it was bringing me discontent. It was bringing me stress. So I guess that's really where it kind of rooted from. Was I was really doing some, introspection on why I was so stressed out. And it wasn't the stuff, because I think people have this idea of minimalism, like we're just some guys who just want you to throw away all your crap. I mean, that's not what it is, because certainly you could throw away every single thing in your apartment, rent a big dumpster, dump it all, get rid of it, go home, and just sulk in your empty, echoey apartment. I mean, it's getting rid of the stuff isn't what makes you happy. It's more about the intention behind how you're living your life and the things that you're bringing into your life. And I think it holds true with not just physical possessions, but even with relationships. I had cluttered relationships.
Yes.
And it's just really, for me, it was about me trying to reset and trying to really figure out how can I get rid of the things in my life that are causing me stress, and B, how can I bring in things that are going to add value and make me happy.
Awesome. And what did you do after you realized that you have 80% of your positions excess or unneeded, or this is overwhelmed? So what did you do? How did you start to declutter all these items?
So I'm the type of person where I have no problem going from one side of the spectrum to the other, because I know that over here on the consumer side and over here on the minimalist side that I'm going to fall somewhere in the middle. I mean, I'm definitely like more towards this side. So for me, it wasn't a hard decision. I did one of three things with those possessions. I threw them away, gave them away, or I sold them. It was one of three things. Now there were a couple items I held on to for seasonal reasons, because I lived in the Midwest in Ohio, and it gets cold there, so I needed to have a winter jacket. So maybe there were a few like seasonal item things I held on to, but yeah, for everything else, I did one of those three things.
And did you do this overnight, or did it like one item a day, or which approach did you take?
So it was a 1-day process where I had taken all of the leftover superfluous things that I had in boxes, and I put them in 3 different piles. So the trash pile right away went out. I wish I had a picture that I would have sent you ahead of time. But I mean, it's like this huge on the curb. It's like all these trash bags. So yeah, I took the trash pile. I brought it to the curb. The stuff that I sold Took me a little bit to sell it. So that was probably a week process, maybe a couple weeks. And then as far as giving away things, that was probably a week or a couple week process as well, because my family, I know, they're always after my hand-downs. I get to come over and things like that. And then, once they kind of went through what they wanted, I took everything else and just brought it to Goodwill, just went and donated it.
Yeah.
So I would say all in all, it was about a 2-week process of getting rid of that huge pile.
Yeah, and it's good that you brought your family into the picture, because I was about to ask you, did you face any resistance from your family and friends? People thought you are going crazy by getting rid of all this stuff overnight.
No, not too much. I mean, I've got my mom had an issue with the website, with the Minimalists, but it wasn't really about the stuff. It was more about, her whole thing is, what's this minimalist thing? Does this mean that I can't buy you Christmas presents anymore? And I'm like, Mom, yeah, I guess that it means that. Like, I don't want you to buy me something that just for the sake of buying me something, especially if I'm not going to use it. And she was like, being my mother, she's like, well, I'm gonna buy you Christmas presents anyways. And I said something along the lines of, well, Mom, I have to be honest, if you buy me something and I don't need it, I'm probably going to give it away to someone who does need it, which is not the thing to say to your mother, by the way. And
I can imagine.
yeah, she got really upset, and we kind of we argued back and forth, but it really came down to, I said, Mom, look, you want me to be happy, right? She's like, yeah, of course I want you to be happy. Like, well, living this type of lifestyle, not focusing on material possessions, not focusing on money, really focusing on things that matter. This is what is going to make me happy. And if you want me to be happy, then, I need your support. And that really touched her heart. It really helped her kind of see my point of view. But other than that, I mean, of course, people look at you like you're crazy because, you don't want stuff. I had, I've had people like just offer me different devices, whether it's a phone or an old laptop or something, and I'm like, no, I mean, it's a really nice, piece of equipment, but I don't need it. No thanks. And they kind of, look at me like, really, you're turning this down? You don't want this, But other than that, I mean, people don't get, they don't push back too much. It's, for the most part, it's been, it's been okay. The reactions.
Good. You said that you were working 60, 70 hours a week. How did you find time and energy to do this, party game, and then you packing stuff, unpacking when you come back from work, and all this? Wasn't that exhausting? Wasn't that overwhelming?
Yeah, no, definitely. So here's what happened: is I had associated so much pleasure with all of those things. It started, like I said in the beginning of the interview, it started to go the other way, where I started to associate a lot of pain. And because I associated so much pain with my lifestyle and with what I was becoming and with the actions that I was taking, that I found the time. I made sure to find that, because it was that important to me. So I didn't take a day off work. I probably just, I maybe went to work a half a day. And then Joshua had come over, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we packed everything up. It took us till, 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So it took us several hours to get everything packed up. And after that, unpacking, it wasn't too bad, because I had really done a good job of labeling where all my items were, so it was really easy to find everything. It was still a little frustrating, but again, I had been so fed up that I was willing to just try anything to change my state, anything subversive enough to help me gain a different perspective on how I wanted to live my life. So yes, it was difficult. I was also going to school at the time. But I wanted something different so bad that desire to have a different perspective and to just view things differently just kind of helped motivate me. And I didn't really look at it like a chore, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. And what about sentimental items? How did you, decide whether you will declutter them, you'll keep them, you'll sell them?
So sentimental stuff, it was really hard at first. The way I started with sentimental items is I took the least valuable sentimental item that I had and I got rid of it. I had a bunch of sentimental stuff, especially like photos, pictures, and things. And I just got rid of it. I think it was like a wallet or something that my mom had got me for Christmas that I never used, but it was sentimental because, she got me this nice wallet and I was holding on to it. So I just, I was like, you know what, I haven't used this wallet since I got it. It's still in the little plastic thing that she got me. I'm just going to throw it out. So I threw it out. It was painful at first, but the next day I didn't even miss it. So I just started getting rid of more sentimental items. And really, it's for me, it was about starting with that one thing to realize that it's not the end of the world if you throw away something sentimental. There were other things that were really hard, like letters that family members have written me. I had this little card from my niece. You're the best uncle in the world. I love you so much, and it was so endearing. But like, I didn't want to hold on to it because I was going through this process, and I just snapped a picture of it, and I threw it away. And the picture completely does for me what that card did for me, and it really helped me realize one thing: is that the things that we own, whether they're sentimental or not, they're only as valuable as there's value. They have as much value as we give them, is what I'm trying to say. So, that card to me meant everything, but really it's the memory's in here. It's not in that card. The feeling is in here. So yes, it was a little difficult at first, but just kind of getting the ball rolling and getting rid of a couple things really helped me realize that the object isn't what holds the memory, and I didn't have to give that object as much value.
That's awesome. The object isn't what holds the memory.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, have you faced any issues with the what if dilemma?
Yes. So I think when you say what if, maybe I kind of look at it as a just in case. Like, I need to hold on to this just in case.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a couple things I could say that really helped me with this. The first was, when we were going through the stuff after 21 days and I'm putting them in 3 different piles, Josh is over there helping me, just putting everything in the throwaway pile because it's so much easier to throw other people's stuff away, right? And I'm like, no, don't throw that away. I might need that just in case. And, there's all these just in case items. So he looked at me and he's like, all right, man. He goes, when's the last time you used, I forget what he held up. When's the last time you used this? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And I kind of laughed. And he was like, you've been in this place for over a year, right? And I'm like, yeah. He says, okay, so how about, if you have something that you haven't used in the last year, it's okay to, throw it away or, to put it in one of these piles. And that was a really good rule for me because it did make sense. Like, yeah, if I haven't used it in a year, chances of me using it again, are slim, essentially. So that really helped me with the rule. Now I have a rule where it's about 6 months. If I don't use something, besides again seasonal items, if I don't use it in 6 months, I usually get rid of it. The other thing that helped me, because there are those expensive things. Like I worked at a telecommunications company, so I had a lot of cell phones, and I had a lot of spare cell phones that I hadn't used in years, but they still worked. They were GSM. They're going to work 5 years from now. So I was holding on to them just in case. I could help someone by giving them one, or use it to replace my own cell phone or whatever. But the way I kind of justified getting rid of those, because they were so expensive, is I sold them. I made a little profit off of it. And if I ever needed to get another cell phone again, I've already made some profit back, and I know I can go online and buy really old, cheap, unlocked GSM phones for the same price that I just paid for them. So I kind of looked at it like a trade-off, right? The other thing that helped me too is I found out too that most of the stuff, the vast majority of the stuff that I had could be replaced for less than $20 in less than 20 minutes of my time. So I could be anywhere. If I needed, if I absolutely needed something and I accidentally, purged it or got rid of it, I know that I could drive within 20 minutes and get what I needed for less than $20. So my theory, and we actually wrote an essay about this on the Minimalists. It's called, the 2020 rule. And the 2020 rule, we believe, works 98% of the time, 99% of the time, because I'm certain there are items where, like, if you're diabetic, you have to have insulin. That's not 20 minutes and $20. But for us, it's worked 100% of the time. And we lived in this rural town in Montana, population 580. 4 bars, 1 church, 1 gas station, just a very, very small town. And even in that small town, that 2020 rule still worked for us. So that's kind of how I have overcome the just in case rule. I have a rule of, how long will I hold on to something without using it, and then the 2020 rule. Those two things have helped me a lot.
Awesome. Now we are approaching the end of the call, and but before we end, I would like you to leave us with some inspiration. Now, you wrote so many books with Joshua, and I believe there are some, quotes or words of wisdom that stuck with your audience and that you find to be very inspiring to people. So you can leave us with some
words
boost.
of wisdom.
Yeah,
man. Well, let me leave it with this. Here's what I found out about my whole journey. And I hope that others can connect with what I'm about to say. And we wrote about this in our book, Minimalism, Live a Meaningful Life. There are 5 things to me that are really important in life. Health is number 1. If you're unhealthy, you're probably depressed. It's how it works. Relationships, if you don't have quality relationships in your life and you're focused on, too many pernicious relationships, it's hard to live a meaningful life. Passion, you've got to have some type of passion to develop, meaning you've got to do something for yourself that is outside of work, that is outside of pleasing others. You have to do something that fulfills yourself, and I think you can do that through cultivating a passion. And then the last 2 things that we talk about in our book is growth and contribution. Everybody in the world has the desire to grow. We all want to grow. This is why we graduate high school and move out of our parents' house. This is why we further our educations. This is why we want bigger houses. This is why we want families. We all have this intrinsic desire to grow as human beings. And for Josh and I, the best way that we've been able to grow is by contributing to others in a meaningful way. So that's what I'll leave it with. Those 5 things right there, I do believe that if people focus on those 5 things, that they can live a truly meaningful life.
Wow, that's awesome. Ryan, thank you very much for the amazing insights that you shared with me in this call, and I hope to have you again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye.